Well, the streaming wars continues. And I'll tell you, Tubi is still making deals left and right. We've discussed this before. Take a look at the dark horses right now. Tubi TV, Zumo, Crackle, all these young streaming sites, these small streaming sites that are growing at a rapid rate. And they could overtake some of the big companies. I mean, with Netflix's losses that are going on right now, the top notch is up for grabs, and it could go any direction. But I think the dark horses are going to end up hurting a lot of the big companies because they're going to be offering a lot more that generally not seen in most of the streaming sites at all. You know, the deals that they're making, the Lionsgate deal that Tubi just made, the anime deals that they've made, the libraries that they have access to. I just saw the other day that they added a ton of kids anime, especially one Anapamana Man, whatever the hell that one is called. And they just added a lot of their movies. I mean, it's in Spanish and Japanese. They haven't dubbed it into English yet, but you know, I foresee that's probably coming down the pike, probably a little bit later on. But now they take sight on another film board, a film company that has been producing for many decades now. As someone who went through both the public and the parochial school system in New York, there were some documentaries, some educational stuff that we saw from this particular company, and that's the National Film Board of Canada. And like I said, they've been around for a long time, and they have a lot of great products to show. They have their own channel. You can watch some of their stuff. You can look it up on the National Film Board of Canada.com, I think it is. And you can see some of the stuff on there. But now, Tubi will be bringing it to you free of charge on there, with obviously commercials. And we'll read this off from the Rapid TV News. Beefing up its bouquet in key English-speaking markets, Tubi has signed a new distribution deal with the National Film Board of Canada to bring acclaimed films to the Fox-owned free ad-supported video-on-demand service across Canada, the U.S., and Australia. An Oscar-winning source of storytelling, the NFB is regarded and renowned as a creative center, a public producer and distributor of Canadian content, a talented incubator, and a level for Canada's creative sector. It produces nearly 100 titles each year, from socially engaged documentaries, auteur animation, to interactive works and participatory experiences. It was among the first cultural organizations to make clear commitments to Gender Party, to launch an action plan with goals of supporting Indigenous perspectives and to establish concrete actions, targets, and to promote diversity, equality, and inclusion. Now, understand this. The last section of that is total bullshit. They've been doing it. National Film Board of Canada has always done it for many years. Look at their older projects. You know, they did not have to mention that. They've always had their sights on diversity and the minority, the gay communities. They've always been there, filming on stuff there because they allowed the independent filmmaker in. That's the one thing about the National Board of Canada. They allowed independent filmmakers in. This is why we had that big push in the 80s and 90s for the independent film industry, because of companies like the National Film Board of Canada. Tubi is kicking off an ongoing relationship with the NFB with 29 titles available now free in a film offer design showcase. The NFB strength in award-winning social engaged documentaries. The National Film Board of Canada is thrilled to have our films on Tubi TV platform, said Natalie Bourdon, the NFB's Director of Distribution and Market Development. This partnership, which personally aligns with our digital strategy, will allow us to grow our audience. Now, the thing is, with this, you have to look at the perspective that Tubi is going out independent now. Yes, I know there's several films that are not so great that Tubi have bought, but that you could see that a lot of film. There are a lot of that on many other streaming sites. Not the same films, but hey, listen, films are films, and that's to add to your content library. Some people might like it. People might dislike it. See, the great thing about when the 1980s rolled in on there after the 70s Renaissance, after the Hays Code era, you saw films that were coming out that had key things to it: action, adventure, romance, drama, horror, and they were low-key productions, low budget. Some of them were good, some of them were bad, some of them were horrible, but it had its fan base. For someone who worked in the retail end and the distribution end of the VHS DVD industry, you saw what was being printed most of the time. It wasn't the top films all the time. Believe it or not, this is why a movie like Return of the Living Dead did so well back in the day, because basically it was shelved a lot. A great movie it is. If it wasn't for the VHS era, you would never have gotten to see a movie of that quality. As far as a horror film of that, you wouldn't hear it. It wouldn't have had sequels. If it wasn't that Hemdale at the time, Hemdale/HBO at the time, that was who was distributing it back then, took the moment to put money to distribute it via VHS into the video stores, people wouldn't have seen it. Oh, of course, they could have thrown it on HBO or one of the other cable channels on there, but hey, listen, certain things got lost in the bunch. There's a lot of movies that have been lost just in the cable end. Even on the video shelf, you still have that documentary that's still coming out, the third part about horror films from the 1980s. The third part is about this stuff that's still on VHS that never got a DVD release or a Blu-ray release. There's still a lot of films on there. But looking at what Tubi is doing, when you look at the scale level, and you say to yourself, you look at that you could sit there and say, I never saw, and he just passed away, James Caan, I never saw Thief, which happens to be a fantastic film, Michael Mann movie. We've discussed that on Saturday Pre-Flight. If you haven't catched that show, do catch it. It is a great film. If you haven't seen it, it's on Tubi. The TV series Revolution is on there now. You might not have seen it before. Sleepy Hollow, Sanctuary, which I thought, got buried in the lineup on Sci-Fi Channel, was a good addition to anybody who liked a little bit of horror and science fiction mixed in. You got Jason Statham and Parker, Jupiter Ascending, The A-Team, Kids in the Hall is available now on Tubi. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, the Saturday morning cartoon, underrated. Stevie Nicks' 24 Karat Gold Tour is now available on there as well, which is a great concert if you haven't seen it, if you love Stevie Nicks, which I love Stevie Nicks. A lot of the Chucky movies are now available on there. I think almost all of them, except the last two. And there's a lot of independent stuff in there. You got some low end stuff, you got some medium end stuff, and you got some high end stuff. Sins of the Father, the Green River Killer. Never heard of that before. I might catch it. Always like the serial killer movies. Madonna in Desperately Seeking Susan. Great film. If you haven't seen that from 1985, such a great film. Tom Cruise and Shelley Long. Yes, that's right. Tom Cruise and Shelley Long did a movie in 1982 called Losing It. One of these teen angst, looking for sex in the wrong place movies, looking for girls in the wrong place. Yes, that's right. They did one together too on there, and that's available. Logan's Run, the TV series. Sword and the Sorcerer from 1982. If you haven't seen that, with Lee Horsley, really good movie. And so on and so on and so on. There's so much that you could see on there. By adding the National Board of Canada's product is a great addition. You're bringing another set of viewers into your fold. This is why Tubi is growing at the rate it's growing. $1 billion by next year in ad revenue. They're over 800,000, I think 800,000 this year already, and growing. You know, could be sooner, could be later. You know, it depends on the sponsors on there. You know, people said, well, I don't want to watch the commercials. I'd rather not see the commercials. Most streaming sites are putting commercials in. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. But if it pays for at least a handful of good programming, I don't mind that. I don't mind watching a commercial. You know, people say, well, the commercials are on their way out, you know, because broadcast television is dying out. No, they've evolved. The revolution is here. The changes are being made. We've said this before. You've seen our new T-shirts that are coming soon, you know, from Man Man with the Show. And this is why there are many changes that are coming. Channels like us, Cutacast TV, are growing. We're adding programming, and we're looking to add other producers, independent productions to this channel down the line. We're looking into this. It's, you know, Cutacast was not only meant for me to be on this channel alone. That's why we also have Rabbit T. Rabbit and Friends on there, the classic series on there from cable TV from New York City. That's why we have it. That's why we're trying to restore it, fix it up, so you'll be able to see it soon. So comment below, subscribe, like, share. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye now.
Fly. Espanol, Spanish fly. You understand?